Hi and welcome to In the Front Row, all things reactions, reviews and interviews. My name's Jamie Lee and today I'll be doing a review of The Last of Us episode 3 titled Long Time. I've got to say I'm very glad that I'm not doing a live reaction to every episode of this because I was a mess after this episode and I feel like I've ugly cried already too much on my YouTube channel and I apologize for that again. But I feel like nobody wanted to see that. It was sad. This entire episode, like the entirety of this episode was just completely sad. And at the same time, heartwarming, nice and hopeful, I guess, but also just the harshness of reality, sad, just sad. So we start the episode with Joel and Ellie and the first interaction between them I just totally loved. Ellie straight up tells Joel, "It's not my fault that Tess is dead. You guys chose to take this on for your own intentions, for your own motives. You didn't care about me. You weren't here to protect me. So it's not my fault that she's dead." And he had to accept that because that's the truth. So that was the first real chip at his armor that I saw his walls breaking down, that he accepted the fact that yes, that's true. And I love that she said that because it made her sound so mature and more grown up than, what we've seen in the past where people think she's just this bratty little child. Like, she has a really intelligent brain under all that little bratty attitude and sassiness that she's got going on. And then they hit the road to go and find the supplies that Tess and Joel had stashed in the years prior. And I didn't realize how many years prior that was actually a thing, like how many years they'd actually been on the road together. So that's an episode that I'd really like them to explore a little bit of backstory about Tess and Joel and how they sort of came about. But anyway, they head for the supplies and they're on their way to see Bill and Frank at one of the supply shops. While Joel is looking for the supplies, Ellie goes into this underground bunker and sees a zombie. And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you going into dark spaces by yourself? Go get Joel, go get a gun. Please don't go down there. But she went down there and I'm kind of glad that she did because alone she got to explore this zombie. And this is something that I feel was really important to her because she was so excited to see a zombie outside of the walls in episode 1. And then episode 2, when she finally saw that massive horde, she got that realization of, oh my gosh, there's a lot of them and they're all connected. And she sort of saw how serious it is. But to have this zombie one-on-one that she got to sort of experiment with, and I know that sounds a little bit creepy, but it's also for her to learn from. She was moving the knife to see if it followed her direction, and she was really curious about how they function, how they work, and how they die. So I'm glad that she got to experience that for herself. That was a really cool moment there. They hit the road again, and I just love their interactions. Ellie is so curious about life, and Joel is like, how do you not know this stuff? Like, don't you go to school? And he's so frustrated. But then when he answers her honestly, they just bond a little bit, and I feel like his wall is breaking down and he's so closed off, but he's finally starting to open up because he sees she's just curious. And I think a big part of his walls coming down was the fact that she says to him all the time, you got to fly, you've got to swim in a pool, you got to experience all these things that she hasn't and probably never will. I don't know if she'll fly in the future episodes of the show. I don't know how the game worked, but she hasn't experienced those things because of the world that she was born into, and that is not her fault. So for him to explain things to her and just educate her, they had their moments of really bonding there. And he was just like, when she said thank you, that moment there alone, he was just like, okay, yeah. It was great. I just really love their interactions. It's probably one of my favorite parts about the show so far. On the road, Joel tells Ellie not to go to a certain spot, but Ellie, being the stubborn girl that she is, she goes along anyway, and we see the skeletons and the bodies of people that were not infected, and we get a little bit of backstory about what the government did to people just to eliminate the threat. Basically, that was really sad. And the scene where there was a little bit of a flashback scene with the lady holding the baby, she's rocking the baby and it's got that little blanket around it, and then you see that blanket on the ground and cried, lost it, sad. Anyway, then we move on to be introduced to Bill, and I was so excited for this. I love prepper stuff. I love watching prepper stuff. I love thinking about prepper stuff. If a zombie apocalypse happened, where would I go? What would I get? What weapon would I make? And I love it. It's one of my fun things to do at nighttime when I should be in bed and I'm thinking about shit like that. But that is what I like to do. So seeing Bill in all his glory, just taking over this town, taking what he wants, making what he wants, and just making a neighborhood for himself that was completely safe was incredible. I just loved watching that, and it's something that we don't often see. You know, you see people sort of prep for things like that, but not in that entirety. He was every single box he had ticked off, and I just thought it was incredible. That was so fun to watch. Then we meet Frank, who falls into one of Bill's traps, and that scene, it has me on edge all the time because it's so hard to trust people in real life, let alone in an apocalypse. You're constantly in the back of your mind just thinking, what do they want? Is this a trap? Do they have more people that are going to kill me? You're just constantly, or I am, because that's how my brain does. I overthink things, and that is all I was thinking when I met Frank. He seemed like a good guy, but is there anyone else around? And I could see that Bill obviously had the same thoughts, but he let him in anyway. We get to the scene where Frank's having a shower and Bill puts the clothes on the bed, and my mind was still running. Is this a trap? Why is he taking so long? Why does he want 5 more minutes in the shower? I mean, who doesn't want 5 more minutes in the shower? But I was just overthinking, like, this has got to be a trap. Like, something is wrong, surely. No, nothing was wrong. Bill cooked a dinner for Frank. Everything was lovely, and just seeing them interact, seeing how happy Frank was, made me happy. I was so satisfied seeing him eat this meal and drink this wine.
What the fuck?
And then they move to the piano and they have some bonding moments there, and then they move to the bedroom and they have some other bonding moments there, and they fall in love. This episode took 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I gotta tell you, I fell in love with this couple in that hour and 20 minutes. I was just so captivated by them. I thought they were absolutely adorable, complete opposites of each other. You've got Frank, who wants to branch out and, you know, meet new people and make everything colorful and bright and beautiful. And then you've got Bill, who's just like, we need to save on resources, we need to do this, this is how it's going to be, I'm planned, I'm structured. And they're just completely opposite, but they work, they complement each other, and it was beautiful. Their whole relationship was just beautiful. I'm not going to lie, there was a little bit of times in their moments together where I thought, this is going on a little bit long. I already love them. I already feel for them. We need to speed this up and get to the part where Joel comes along, you know, link this in, come on now. So I'm not going to lie, I did feel that at one point, but then Joel and Tess come along, and seeing Bill and Joel interact same was just hilarious. I thought their scenes together were really great. And when I was talking about the hope part of this episode, that's where Tess and Frank come in. They trusted each other. They're going to trade with each other. They have no ill intentions at all. And that was really hopeful to me, that in an apocalypse, you know, there are good people in the world still. So that was really hopeful. And then we get to the part where I thought for sure that Bill was dead. His stubbornness of wanting to protect what he has and, you know, protect what's his and go out and fight for it got him shot. And then you have Frank trying to patch him up, and, you know, he's trying to heal him and stuff. And I was just a mess. I was a total mess by this scene, just crying like a blubbering baby because the reality hit me again. You know, like Bill is sitting there saying, I've got a list of things to do, like go find Joel, keep the generator on, do this. And it just hit me so hard because, like, I have a list like that. Like, I've got a list when I die of things that I want people to have and I want people to do, and I want people to remember me as or by. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so sad right now. And then we have the twist that he lives, and there's a time jump, and it ends up being Frank that has Parkinson's, I'm assuming, or is it MS? I'm not quite sure what disease he has, but anyway, he's sick. He can't do a lot for himself. Completely sad seeing that change in him. You know, he wants to do up the boutique and he wants to do up the building store, and seeing him do things for himself to suddenly not being able to do anything for himself was completely sad. But again, the hopefulness comes in from that sad, heartbreaking scenes, because you see the love. You see that Bill will do anything for him. And I'm not going to lie, when we did get to that death scene, I honestly thought, did he give him the pills? You know, like, is he actually going to go through with it? And then obviously we find out that they do a Romeo and Juliet and want to die together. And again, a mess, complete mess. Even thinking about it now, sad as shit. It was freaking sad, and all I keep thinking is why? But at the same time, that's a person's right. If they feel that, you know, they can't continue like that, well, that's their right. And who are we to judge them on anything else? But at the same time, don't do that to me. Don't do me like that, show. Oh my gosh, I was a mess. Anyway, so those scenes were heartbreaking. And then we get to the moment where Joel and Ellie arrive at the neighborhood, and I was terrified. I was actually scared of what Joel would find, because all I kept thinking was, man, this man, like Rick Grimes, I know I keep bringing it back to The Walking Dead, but my heart was just breaking, because all I felt was he's just lost his daughter. Not just, but he's lost his daughter. He's just lost Tess. He's now going to lose another 2 people. Like, oh, why is this show so freaking heartbreaking, and why do they do this to me, and why the hell do I keep watching it? Anyway, so he goes upstairs, and he was about to enter the bedroom where he would have seen something that he will never ever forget, and I'm so glad. The wind came, the door shut, and he got not spooked, but he went back downstairs thinking it was Ellie, and he didn't go in the bedroom, and thank God that he didn't, because that would have been horrible. When he gets downstairs, Ellie is reading the message that Bill left for Joel, knowing that Joel was the only idiot stupid enough to find him, because he was the only idiot that would get through the gates. Things like this, jokes that I was laughing at whilst crying and not being able to breathe. I sounded like a freaking hyena or some, I don't know, like a giraffe dying or some weird noise that you probably never hear in your life. But anyway, that's how I sounded when I was laughing and dying, because it was funny, but it was so sad. So sad. I laughed when he was like, I was glad when this happened and people died. I was like, oh my gosh, mate. Oh, truth. Anyway, very sad. But my favorite part about this whole interaction here, where Ellie was reading the note, yes, it was sad when she got to Tess and she couldn't say that, and he's like, don't ever bring her up again. But he went outside with the note, but he said to Ellie,
stay here.
And she stayed. She was not sarcastic. She was not bratty. She was a daughter listening to her father. She knew he's hurt. She knew he's serious. She knew how upsetting that was to him in that moment, and she listened. She did as she was told, and she listened. And that was my favorite part of the whole thing, I've got to say. Like, I was just like, oh my God. I don't know why stupid things like that click, but that clicked. And I was like, that is really good. They're finally at the stage, or they're getting to that stage where they're bonding and they're actually, something is connecting, something is working there. And that was truly beautiful to me. And then we see them obviously getting in the car and getting the battery and getting their supplies to leave and head towards finding Joel's brother. And I laughed at many things in that, because the first thing that she grabbed was the toilet paper. And at first I was like, toilet paper, because here in Australia, I don't know about you guys, but when the pandemic came, everybody was buying toilet paper. Everybody was fighting for toilet paper. Everybody was stacking up on toilet paper and hoarding it. And toilet paper was a crazy thing, and I don't know why, but anyway, that was the thing. So I laughed at it for that reason. But then I also remembered that in the last episode with Tess, she tossed her like a magazine or something to wipe her ass, and she's like, toilet paper, like something that's so common to us. Ellie was so excited to have, this luxury that she really wanted to have. Of course, she got the gun and other things as well, but I just thought that moment was very funny as well. And then when they were in the car and she was talking about it being a spaceship, again, these are simple things in life that Joel, I don't want to say takes for granted, but he's experienced before, and she's never had that. She's never done that. Being in a car, having like the visor pop down, she was excited by things like that. And that was so beautiful. And it was really cool to see them interact in those moments as well. Then the final scene got me good as well. They're driving off and you're looking out the window, but the camera's zooming out and it's heading towards the bedroom, and you're like, please don't show that sad moment. Please don't show that. And you figure that they're not going to, considering Joel didn't see it earlier. And you see the beautiful picture on the wall that Frank had obviously painted for him, and that broke my heart. And then just hearing that same song that Bill and Frank were playing on the piano earlier while Tess and Joel drive away, that was just beautiful. Like, I can't explain how well the writers write this show. Like, everything is just beautiful. Nothing is lazy. Everything is tied up, linked in, works well. Everything is really great. I know that is a big part of their story writing. Their story is really, really good, the way that they write things, but also the acting in this was fantastic. Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett, who's Aussie, by the way, I'm very proud of that. They were fantastic in this. I fell in love with these characters in such a short amount of time. I loved these guys. Not much time with them, but they were just captivating. And that's a testament to their acting, testament to the writing. Everything was just perfect. Visually, it looked amazing. I said last week that I loved a lot of scenes, a lot of shots from this, and that's not something that I ever see in, zombie movies or post-apocalyptic movies or shows and things like that. I never go, oh wow, that looks great. But in this, I do. I sit there and I literally say it out loud because it just looks beautiful. And I know it's not real, like it's CGI or whatever, but it just looks like it's straight from a video game, like video game-esque, if that's even a word. It just looks cool. It looks like something that you'd see on the small screen when you're playing on a big screen, and it just looks fantastic. And the score, that was fantastic as well. Those moments when Bill and Frank were in their final scenes, oh my gosh, I just wanted to put earbuds in and not listen, because I swear that music alone was making me even more emotional than what I was seeing on the screen. Everything just fit together nicely, and it felt so good, even though it felt so sad at the same time. Anyway, those were my thoughts on episode 3. I'm hoping that the next episode isn't so sad. I feel like I've cried in every single one of these episodes. I mean, that's good, I guess. It shows that it's moving and it entertains people and it can make people feel things, which is the point of movies, in my opinion, and shows. So I think it's a great series. If you haven't watched it, I totally recommend you watching it. I really love it. Can't wait for episode 4. Let me know in the comments if you're watching it and you're enjoying it, and can you please give this video a like, and if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel, and then head on over to my Instagram and give me a follow over there as well, please. Okay, sweet as. Have a good day. Bye.